All right, perfect squares factorization. We did perfect squares expansion last week. Now we're going back the other way. We're factorizing and putting the brackets back. So these rules you got last week, but they were the other way around. So this bracket would have been on the other side. Right? So because you've had those rules before, I'll go straight to the steps. What should you try first? You need to try common factors factorization first across all the terms. Can you get that first step down, please? Step 1, try common factors factorization first. What are you after? A pen? Something like that? Sit down. You can see him later. All right, step 2. Once you have tried common factors factorization, either it works or it doesn't, check 2 things. You check 2 things. There has to be 3 terms. What is a term? That's things that are separated by plus or minus. And then the second thing that you check is that 2 of the terms are square numbers. Those are your a squared and your b squared. So step 1 again, try common factors factorization across all the terms first. Step 2, you check 2 things. Are there 3 terms? And you check if 2 of the terms are square numbers. Step 3 and 4, if both of those 2 things that you checked are true, you check if the third term is the result of 2 times a times b. You'll see what I mean by that when we do an example. And if that is also true, so you're checking if 3 things are true, you apply this rule above. Can you just make sure you've got 4 steps there? And then I'll demonstrate with the 2 examples, an easier one and a harder one. You'll work for 40 minutes and then I've got some extra incentive there for you to do some practice. Question? Third, if both true, check if the third term is the result of 2 times a times b. So hopefully in these 11 weeks you've worked out how I operate. I tell you the steps. They don't mean much right now until you try it or until I show you an example. Okay? So let's show that example here. For a, x squared take 14x plus 49. I want to factorize that. What does step 1 tell me? I want to try common factors. What numbers can I times together to get x squared? X. So, okay, I could factorize this with x. I could factorize 14x with x, but is there an x in 49? Yeah, it's a bit true. Is there an x in 49? No. So step 1 is not going to work. Okay? So let me just turn that aircon off because it is a bit... chilly. Right, let's try step 2. Check if there are 3 terms. Are there 3 terms in this thing that I've circled right now? Yeah. There's 3 things separated by pluses and minuses. Good. So I've ticked off the first thing. There are 3 terms. 2 of the terms are square numbers. Is 14 a square number? No. But is x squared a square number? Yeah. Is 49 a square number? Yeah. What do I times by itself to get 49? 7. Good. So you can write that little working out there. X squared is x times by x. And 49 is 7 times by 7. So we have just ticked off. There are 3 terms. 2 of the terms are square numbers. These are a squared and b squared. So a is x and b is 7. Okay? The last check that you do, if both of those things are true, check if the third term is the result of 2 times a times b. So 14x, here is the third term, is 2 times by x times by 7. What is 2 times by x times by 7? 14x. So does that confirm that the third term is the result of 2? Once you've ticked all of that, you can apply the factorization above. So in this situation here, what is the sign between x squared and 14x? It's a take. So I'm using this one here because what do you see on the left? It's a take. So what's my a? My a was x. What was my b? 7. So it's x take 7 all squared. That's applying those 4 rules. Check if there's 3 terms. Check if there's 2 of them that are squared. Check if the third term is 2ab. Apply the brackets above. That's perfect squares factorization. You got 2 options. Either there's a plus or there's a minus between the a and the b. Let's do the second example. Let's try those steps again. Try common factors factorization first. Is there a common factor across all of these? Does 8 go into 24? Yes. But does 8 go into 18? No. So that fell over. Does 4 go into 8? Yeah, it does. 2 times 4. 4 goes into 24 6 times. 4 doesn't go into 18. The closest we get with 4 is 16. So what's the next even number I can go? Sorry? 2. Let's try 2. If I removed negative 2 as a factor, right? What would I times negative 2 by to get negative 8x squared? It would be 4x squared. What would I times negative 2 by to get negative 24x? It would be positive 12x. And 18 would be positive 9. Why is that useful? I've got this freaking negative 2 hanging out the front. But here, in the brackets, are there 3 terms? Are there 3 things in that bracket? Is this a square number? Yeah. Is 9 a square number? Yeah. Does that sound familiar? That sounds familiar. That sounds like the steps that we were just applying. Okay? What number do I times by itself to get 4x squared? 2, not just 2. 2x by 2x. So my a is going to be 2x. What do I times by itself to get 9? 3. 3 times 3, so b is 3. So now we can apply that rule up the top. There's a plus here, so it's going to be 2x plus 3 squared. But please don't forget that we moved that negative 2 on the outside, so that negative 2 has to remain there. So you can see applying perfect squares, those 4 steps, most of them that you will encounter are like the easier one, but every so often I'll chuck in a hard one there. Now, I only want you in the first 40 minutes to answer 6 questions to practice for 40 minutes. Show me you've answered those and checked to get 2 things from the bag. This is Mr. Twizen we're talking about here. My goodie bags are loaded. Not cheapo stuff. Okay? Answer 6 questions in 40 minutes.